Man, I really love making YouTube videos. I can't wait to see what people had to say about this latest one. What?
A better way to draw like Kim Jung Gi would be to wear an aluminum foil suit during a thunderstorm, get struck by lightning, and hope the jolt gives you the ability to memorize everything you've ever seen. All in all, terrible video, would not watch again.
How could my life come to this? How could I have been so stupid? I know what I must do.
And let's begin by drawing in a fisheye perspective lens. Becoming a Gi.
Alright, so in order for us to start drawing in a fisheye perspective, we need to understand 5-point or curvilinear perspective. I place in 5 vanishing points, a central vanishing point, a right vanishing point, a left vanishing point, and an upward and downward vanishing point. As we get closer to any one of the 4 perimeter vanishing points, the curves leading towards them become increasingly dramatic. The central vanishing point functions much in the same way that a 1-point perspective would. Similar to 3-point perspective, our vertical lines are also going to have a convergence. However, in 5-point we'll have convergence both above and below the horizon line. Now we can just simply follow these vanishing lines to create form. Notice in this example that since we're to the left of the central vanishing point, all those lines heading leftward will curve towards that left vanishing point. We can do the same thing above the horizon line, only notice now that any lines heading towards the left vanishing point will be curving downwards. Alright, now let's apply this to a pen drawing of a vehicle. We'll start by building out form, much in the same way as we did in the previous example, only now we won't be using the aid of a grid. As always, placing in final details is a lot easier once we have primitive geometry put in place. A lot of my students have asked how you accurately scale a drawing like this. There are a lot of techniques that I discuss in the perspective videos, and that are also discussed in Scott Robertson's How to Draw that will elucidate how to do this, but more often than not, I figure out the scale through trial and error. For better or for worse, the best way to get better is by getting more mileage and just drawing more. The more you draw, you'll rely less on underdrawings and construction lines, and eventually you'll be able to draw in a direct way, like Kim Jung Gi. I think a really important thing for us to do in order to learn more is to demystify artists that we look up to. It's easy for us to look at a video of Kim Jung Gi drawing a panoramic scene and regard it as something that's impossible. But if you break down his process, and keep in mind the fact that he has many, many years of experience, we can at the very least aspire to draw at his level. Perhaps if we set concrete goals for ourselves, maybe draw 2 or 3 sketches in different perspectives a day, you start to build up a visual library of things that you can always call back to when you're doing a different drawing. It's simply a matter of placing our details along our perspective grid, even when that grid is just in our head. Confidence with pen drawing will also come in time. As you get more comfortable drawing with your arm and not using your hands too much, you'll shed that fear of making a mistake and be able to work in a permanent medium comfortably. I like using a heavy black marker just to increase that contrast. If you need some help with texturing and hatching, I have a video on the subject. In it, I show you how I analyze real-life textures and then try to replicate them with the pen. Also, that's the first time you've seen me use a pencil on this channel. Alright, quick disclaimer. I think all these figures came out a little bit wonky, but they serve their purpose for teaching. You can look back at the anatomy series if you want to see how I'm breaking down these figures into primitive forms. But to recap, it's just a rectangular prism for the head, torso, and pelvis, and cylinders for the arms, abdomen, and legs. I could have definitely curved these figures a bit more, but keep in mind as you move further away from the central vanishing point, you'll have more vertical convergence. Keeping in mind the turning of forms from the last lecture, as we move the left vanishing point closer to us, the right vanishing point is going to move further rightward. Again, as a principle of our 5-point perspective, vertical lines above the horizon line and below the horizon line are going to converge at separate points. So I'm pitching both the head and legs into the left.
What we do here is go back.
Remember to study your ellipses because their placement can be really challenging. But this is really the hardest part of the process. Once you can convey your figures in 3 dimensions like this, it'll be a lot easier to add details over them. And again, the more you do this, the less and less you'll have to rely on these primitive blockouts. So let's do one more, now with the character facing away from us. Again, all those lines converging towards the right vanishing point that are above the horizon line will curve downwards, and all those below the horizon line will curve upwards. I think I curved in his legs just a little too much in this case, but you get the point. Alright, so let's wrap this up. Now that we have our figures blocked out, we can add in rounded forms and facial features so that it makes our characters look realistic. Understanding the underlying forms of your figures makes it so much easier to do things like drapery, hair, facial expressions. It's simply a matter of following those guidelines that you've already created for yourself. I'm looking at a reference book of samurai armor as I'm doing this. It can be really fun to take those outfits and then place them around the forms that we've already created. I find that doing this really strengthens my memory of whatever it is I'm studying, and I find it significantly easier to draw it the next time without any underdrawings. In the third part of this Kim Jung Gi series, I'm going to try to add a little bit more life, movement, and character to these figures. Alright, now let's add in the details on the back view. Again, it's the same idea. I'm getting the details from my reference, but wrapping them around the forms that I've created. All this can be really challenging, even for me, and I spend all day doing it. So just remember, don't get discouraged, keep at it, and just keep trying. And try to use your intuition. If something seems off about your drawing, try to break down what it is that you messed up or could have made a mistake on, and then correct it the next time that you do a drawing. And if you find that you're stumped and you can't figure out where you've made the mistake, ask somebody. We have a community critique channel on the Modern Day James Discord server, and people are on there all the time, if you want to get some feedback on a sketch that you've done. Also, you can sign up for weekly critiques from me on the Modern Day James Patreon account. So head over there if you feel that would benefit you at all. This last one came out particularly awkward, but I don't really have too much time to redo it. Anyway, thanks for sticking through it, guys. I'll be live streaming every Friday through Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to get some additional information on these topics or just see me work through them, you can join that. Also, be sure to join the Modern Day James Discord server. The link is in the description. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I'll be putting out new videos every Thursday. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the live stream.